The Cleveland Browns paid Deshaun Watson $230 million guaranteed. They gave up 3 first-round picks, and they believed they had finally solved the quarterback problem that haunted this franchise for decades. Instead, they got 9 wins and 19 starts, one of the most expensive gambles in NFL history. But here's the twist. The quarterback who might actually save the Browns was drafted in the 5th round. His name is Shedeur Sanders, and right now, he might be the lottery ticket. Cleveland is desperately hoping hits. Let's slow this down for a second, because when you talk about Cleveland's quarterback situation, people immediately jump to emotion. They argue about loyalty. They argue about contracts. They argue about reputations, but this isn't about emotion. This is about reality. The reality is that the Browns made one of the biggest financial bets in NFL history when they acquired Watson, fully guaranteed, a contract structure that forced the team to constantly restructure money, push cap hits into the future, and twist the roster around one player. And the return on that investment? 9 wins in 19 starts. That's not franchise-saving production. That's franchise-altering damage. The Browns have been managing that mistake in slow motion for years. And that's why the arrival of Shedeur Sanders is suddenly so interesting, because he wasn't supposed to be the solution. He was supposed to be a developmental quarterback, a late-round flyer. But once he stepped on the field, something started to change. 2-minute drills, comeback drives, poise in pressure situations, and he showed all of that without first-team reps and behind an offensive line that was falling apart. Those weren't empty flashes. Those were moments that made people inside the building start asking a very real question. What if this kid is actually the answer? The real issue for Cleveland isn't just quarterback competition, it's financial gravity, because the Watson contract is a boulder tied to the roster. Every offseason move, every restructure, every roster decision has revolved around managing that deal. And there's only one way that problem disappears: if Shedeur Sanders becomes the guy, because if Sanders proves he's the franchise quarterback, everything changes overnight. The Browns suddenly have a starting quarterback making rookie-scale money instead of a cap-crushing contract. That creates flexibility. That creates options. That creates oxygen for a roster that has been suffocating under financial pressure. That's why people inside Cleveland are quietly hoping for one outcome. Not chaos, not competition, clarity. Because the perfect scenario is simple. Shedeur Sanders walks into OTAs, wins the job, and never gives it back. If that happens, the Browns didn't just draft a quarterback, they hit the lottery. Think about what that lottery ticket actually means: a young quarterback on a 5th-round rookie contract with multiple years of team control. That's the kind of financial advantage that lets teams build contenders, weapons, offensive line depth, defensive reinforcements, all the things Cleveland has struggled to maintain while carrying the Watson contract. And here's the part people don't talk about enough. The Watson cap burden becomes far easier to escape after this season, meaning if Sanders proves he's the guy, the Browns can finally turn the page. Not just a quarterback, but as an entire organization. It becomes a reset, a reboot, a chance to build the roster the right way again. But there is one complication, and it's the most Browns scenario imaginable. What if Watson actually plays well? What if he suddenly looks like even a shadow of his 2020 self? Now, Cleveland has a completely different problem. Do you extend the expensive veteran? Or do you move forward with the cheap young quarterback? That's not a simple decision. That's the kind of decision that fractures front offices. But that's also why the smartest move is obvious. Let Shedeur Sanders get the first shot, give him OTAs, give him training camp, give him the opportunity to make the decision for you, because if he grabs the job and runs with it, the path forward becomes crystal clear. But there's one line the Browns cannot cross again. They cannot let contracts dictate the future of the franchise. Not after everything they've already gone through, because Cleveland has spent decades searching for quarterback stability, from draft busts to stopgap veterans to expensive gambles. And the Watson era was supposed to end that search. Instead, it extended it. Now the Browns have something they didn't expect: hope. And it's coming from a 5th-round pick. If Shedeur Sanders proves he's the guy, the Browns don't just solve their quarterback problem. They escape the biggest mistake of the last decade. And for a franchise that has lived through endless quarterback chaos, that might be the best lottery ticket they've ever had.